undiminished.
We now go across to the Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I begin by thanking all our nurses for their efforts in keeping us safe and looking after us, and applaud yesterday as the International Nurses Day. Mr. Speaker, last week the Prime Minister, in response to my questioning, noted the ability of the governments of all four nations to come together and to deliver a very clear message for our people. Events on Sunday could not have been more disastrous from this government. The Prime Minister has made confusion costly, devolved administrations shut out, widespread confusion amongst the public, and a total disregard from this government for workers' safety. Many sadly have seen the images of London buses being packed this morning. Mr. Speaker, will the Prime Minister accept that the clear message in Scotland is stay home to protect the NHS to save lives?
Prime Minister.
And Mr. Speaker, indeed, the message throughout the country is, of course, that you should stay at home if you can, and unless the specific circumstances that we've outlined apply. But I must say I don't accept the characterisation of the cooperation that we've had across all four nations that the Leader of the SNP makes. In my experience, and it's been intense, it's been going on for days and days and weeks, and actually I think if you look at the totality of the measures that we're taking as a country, there is much more that unites us than divides us, and we will go forward together.
Go back across to Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford.
Mr. Speaker, the reality is that the Prime Minister has failed to deliver a clear message, and he didn't address the point about London buses being packed this morning. The Prime Minister is threatening progress made against the spread of this virus by the general public, who are following the advice to stay at home. The Prime Minister is putting workers' safety at risk by calling on those who can't work at home to go to their jobs without any guidance on health and safety. Only last Monday, the Health Secretary launched a test trace app trial. On Sunday, the Prime Minister appeared to leapfrog any success with that by announcing easing of restrictions. Before any lockdown easing, and to avoid undermining the progress made so far, the Prime Minister must make sure that there are sufficient levels of testing available and the ability to test, trace, isolate is fully in operation. Why is the Prime Minister throwing weeks of progress against this virus into jeopardy, undermining the work of our outstanding NHS?
Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, he raises a point about London buses, which is quite right, and I don't want to see crowding on mass transit, public transport in our capital or anywhere else, and we're working very actively with TfL to ensure that what we do is we have more capacity, we discourage people from going to work during the peak, and that the operators, in particular TfL, lay on particularly more tube trains when those are necessary throughout the day, and a huge amount of work is being done. We also want to see proper marshalling at stations to prevent crowding of trains. I must say that on his point about test, track and trace, test, track and trace is going to be a huge operation for this entire country, and I think actually he should pay tribute to the work of all those hundreds of thousands of people who are now responsible massively for escalating our test, track and tracing operation. We now test, I think, more than virtually any other country in Europe, and and the rate of acceleration, rate of increase has been very, very sharp indeed, and we will go up to 200,000 by the end of the month. But he's absolutely right that this should be entirely, the success of this programme is absolutely vital if we're to be able to move on to the third step, to the second and third steps of our roadmap.
We now go over to your...
We will make America great again.